you want to know?
What's going on, people? Myke C-Town here with an episode of What Do You Want to Know? Where you ask your questions. If I like your questions, I answer your questions on camera. And it's been a while since I've done one of these videos. God, like a month or longer, probably. Yeah, man, sorry. Life shit, man. Life shit just happens. But, you know, I need to get that under control because, you know, doing these videos for you guys, that's the shit that matters, bruh. Anyways, as opposed to just getting the questions the regular way for the big comeback video, I thought it would be cool to open it up to my patrons only. So I posted in there, you know, asking them to give me a question that they want to know for this video, something that's fairly short, that's not too in-depth. And I think I got some good ones here. But before I jump into the video, if you'd like to become a patron, you can do so for just $1 a month. Link is down there. You get the option to do things like this, but you also get the option to be the people that can suggest albums for my Out of Your Element, or Out of My Element, whatever the fuck it's called, segment. So anyways, yeah, do that. But we're gonna jump right into this shit because we have quite a few questions here. First question is from Owen W, and he asks, what are your hobbies outside of listening to / talking about music? So I read a lot, or I used to read a lot. I kind of fell back on it and got sidetracked with work shit and YouTube shit. And now I'm kind of getting back into it. But yeah, I also watch a lot of movies. I'm a fucking movie obsessive, especially horror movies, obscure horror movies. But other than that, I'm also really into art, you know. Some people don't know that I actually went to school for fine arts, for drawing and painting, but then I kind of fell back on that and I fell into digital art, which I don't like nearly as much, but it pays more bills than sketching. But yeah, I used to draw a lot. I was really into charcoal for a while. Then I worked my way into painting with acrylics. I've been thinking about getting back into that actually, whenever time allows. I also used to write a lot. Some people don't know that. I actually did slam poetry for a while. I'm not interested in getting back into that, but I am kind of interested in writing again. So I don't know, we'll see how that goes. Now these next two people asked very similar questions. So Lobsteroo asked, do you ever feel an urge or any inclination to get back into making music again? And Max Elizier, he asked, hi Myke, are you still making your own music? And if not, how do you scratch that creative itch? So yeah, this is kind of sort of the same question, but yeah, as far as my old stuff, there's been some talks about a reunion show, but I'm not really into that idea, unless we can get the majority of the original members, which I just don't see that happening. All those dudes are doing other shit that's nowhere near, you know, what we were doing. But, you know, you never say never, I guess. As far as doing some other type of music, yeah, I've thought about that a lot. I actually bought an MPC probably like 10 years ago. I didn't want to make hip hop or anything like that, but I was interested in doing like dark ambient music at the time. Maybe something along the lines of like Coil mixed with Purient or something like that, but I just never did it. And the MPC's been sitting out there collecting dust. Am I still interested? I don't know. Maybe at some point I'll buckle down and give it a go. I know Beezy's offered multiple times to show me how to use that thing, but I haven't taken him up on it. I just don't have the time right now, but I definitely still have that musical itch in me. So I could definitely see something musical happening in some capacity in the near future. Ace B asked, if you could watch one band, dead or alive, who would you see? I would have said Emperor in a heartbeat. But I think I'm going to be seeing them in Vegas in August, so crossing my fingers. Other than that, I've seen all of my favorite bands. I've seen Current 93, I've seen The Cure, you know. But I guess if we're not able to say that we would like to see a certain band in a certain time period, because I mean, I would kill to have seen Current 93 in the 80s or The Cure in the early 90s. Like, that would have been amazing. But there are like 3 bands that I would say that I would have loved to seen. One band being Falling Forward. They were an amazing emo hardcore band from Kentucky. I don't know why I never got to see them play live. I just didn't. Members became Elliot, if you've heard that band, but Falling Forward is one of my top favorite bands. Another one being Christian Death. With Roz Williams, not fucking Valor. I would have loved to have seen Christian Death with Roz Williams back in their heyday. That would have been amazing. To have seen them play something like on the Catastrophe Ballet Tour, that'd have been fucking incredible. The last one being Company Flow. I didn't go to that reunion show they did some years back because I didn't know about it until it had already happened. So yeah, I fucked up on that one. But I would have loved to see Company Flow doing some Fun Crusher shit played live. And even now, well past what people would consider the heyday of that type of rap, I would still go. Like if they announced today that Company Flow was doing a fucking reunion show in 2 weeks in New York, I'm there, bruh. I'm there. So yeah, it's really hard between Christian Death and Company Flow, but I think I'd have to go Company Flow just based on, you know, what that group meant to me as far as putting my brain into the element of weird and experimental hip hop. Dalton Fordyce, sorry if I'm butchering your name, bro, but yeah, he says, yo Myke, you've mentioned every now and then some books and authors you read. Wondering what some of your favorite books / authors are. What are you reading nowadays? You know, I really thought, I could have sworn that I did a video on this, but I dug through my channel and I didn't see one, so I don't know, man. But yeah, some of my favorite authors are Charles Bukowski, who's at the top. I love Charles Bukowski. I love Cormac McCarthy. I think he's an amazing writer. J.M. Cusier, who's a little bit lesser known, kind of. He's a great author from South Africa. His books are just heartbreaking and very vivid. I love his stuff. I'm not a big horror novel reader, but I do like some Thomas Ligotti. For poetry, I am really into people like Langston Hughes, James Baldwin, Octavio Paz. Yeah, that's all I can think of off the top of my head. But yeah, as far as what I'm reading right now, I'm finishing up the Rodney Mullen autobiography that a friend of mine loaned me probably like a year ago. But yeah, it's absolutely great book. Now I'm about to start on the James Acaster book, his newest book called Perfect Sound Whatever, which he included a part about me in the book. So I'm really hyped to see how the whole thing came together. I don't want that to sound super narcissistic. I am interested in him in general. I think he's funny as fuck. And I know this book is supposed to have a semi-serious edge, so I don't know, I think it's gonna be a great read. So yeah, I'm about to dig into that. Tom Leacu or Leacu, I don't know, and I'm sorry. But yeah, Tom asked, what's your favorite Harmony Korine film and why? This is a good question, man. I actually had to put a lot of thought into this one because if we're talking about movies that he wrote and directed, because when you say a Harmony Korine film, I don't know exactly what you mean. Like some people might think that because he wrote or co-wrote movies like Kids and Ken Park with Larry Clark, like would those be considered Harmony Korine films, or are we only talking about the ones where he had full control, meaning he wrote and directed? So for the sake of this video, I'm gonna assume you mean ones that he wrote and directed. So it's hard to pick between Mr. Lonely and Gummo, but I think I'm gonna have to go with Gummo on this one. Just because it's such an honest depiction of small redneck towns and how their residents are. I know a lot of people think that it's just a super random movie with random, weird, unrealistic people doing really random, weird shit. And basically a lot of people think the movie is just about nothing, but it's not. You know, when I moved from Sacramento, California to Conyers, Georgia, a town that is still mostly known for either its giant horse park or the fact that it had the largest syphilis outbreak in United States history. That was a shithole of a town when I first moved there, and I saw a lot of the type of shit depicted in this movie in real life. But yeah, the shit with drowning cats was hard to watch, but I'm sure that kind of shit really happens too. But yeah, Gummo is a great film, and it's a really eye-opening film. But if you haven't seen that, make sure you check that out. But yeah, I'd have to say that that's probably my favorite. Mr. Lonely, close second, because it's such a heartbreaking and real film when you really dig into those characters. But yeah, anyways, Gummo. Damien Hellspawn asks, hey Myke, you talk about that abuse of power record in one of your videos. Triple B put out a lot of good stuff last year. Is there anything else going on in hardcore right now that you're into, or do you have any thoughts on bands or trends in current hardcore you've observed? Can be whatever you take as under the umbrella of hardcore music. Thanks. The short answer to this is nope. I really don't pay attention to modern hardcore at all. I'm kind of that old hardcore kid that, where I hear a modern hardcore band and I just think they're not as good as Integrity or Unbroken, so I just go listen to Those Who Fear Tomorrow or Life, Love, Regret. On occasion I'll hear a cool band doing cool stuff like Abuse of Power or Slow Fire Pistol, but both of those bands are from Atlanta, so I got put onto them that way. But there's also Shin Guard, who I ran across randomly, I don't remember how. I also like City Hunter a lot, but they kind of have that sort of black metal attitude, so they fit in naturally with what I'm really into now. There's a band called Raw Breed that I like a lot, really pissed off and gritty stuff. There's a band called One Step Closer. They had a record out on Triple B, I believe, as well, and they're awesome. But honestly, when I hear a lot of bands today, they just remind me so much of older bands that I just don't care. Plus I come from that political side of hardcore where we really cared about social issues, and that's kind of why we were in that space. We cared about racism and sexism and homophobia and animal rights and that kind of thing. And I rarely hear that in hardcore today. It's all about the riffs and the dun 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 dun. I kind of hear the opposite of what attracted me to hardcore back in those days. Not many of the bands that I hear now are really talking about anything or trying to put forth any real change. And not that all bands have to do that, but that was always the foundation of hardcore to me. All that goofy tough guy bullshit doesn't interest me at all. Going to shows today and just watching people not only beat the shit out of each other in the pit, which that's nothing new and that doesn't really bother me at all, but that whole running along the edge of the pit and punching random people, like, y'all can go fuck yourself, man. Like, I'm good on that dumb shit. And I'm not saying that every band in the hardcore scene is like this. I'm sure I'm missing a whole side of hardcore that isn't like this. I just don't know anything about it. So I'm totally open to suggestions. Let's talk about it down there in the comments section. All right, the last question is coming from Adam Quelch, and he asked, you are obviously used to people being upset or angry at you about your opinions about music. Is this something you can relate to? Was there a time when you would feel angry or upset about somebody criticizing music that is personal to you? Of course. It's weird because when I was really young, I didn't really care if people didn't like the music I liked because it made me feel cool, like I was like on the outside and I'm like, yeah, fuck you guys. But it's weird because I was kind of a dick like that in the earlier Dead in Hip Hop videos. I just didn't know it, And the thing is, if it weren't for doing videos online all these years, I still might be acting the way I did in those old Dead End videos. But that being said, I don't think there's anything wrong with having an emotional response when someone shits on something that you like. Naturally, if you love something, you don't want to hear a bunch of negativity about it. That's human. I'll hear people talking shit about albums or movies that I like, and I'll definitely think, like, what the fuck are you talking about? I think that that's completely normal. It's how you display that emotion and that feeling that is the issue. You have to have the common sense to understand that what that person is saying is just their opinion about it, and it has no bearing or effect on your enjoyment of it. In fact, when I hear people shit on stuff that I like, it typically just makes me like it even more. I know, it's fucking bizarre. I really only watch album reviews at this point for entertainment, not for validation. I disagree a lot with Fantano, but I still check out his reviews of albums that I like or albums that I'm interested in. Same goes for Luke James. I get entertainment out of his videos, even if our opinions are polar opposites. Same goes with Mark from Spectrum Pulse. Although Mark's ass is so goddamn detailed that he'll unintentionally have you doubting yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, that motherfucker, the way he puts all those goddamn paragraphs of text and he's speaking to you like he's giving a motherfucking TED talk. Like, that motherfucker could convince you to hate your own mother if he wanted to. I genuinely believe that shit. But yeah, I think this is just one of the biggest changes that I've had since being in the online review game, just trying to remain calm and open-minded about people having opinions that are not in line with mine. Speaking solely about music, of course. I think I've always been used to people not liking the stuff that I like, because I like some fairly obscure shit. So it doesn't really bother me all that much. It's just more so when people who don't listen to that obscure shit, they start to give really uninformed opinions about it, and they expect you to take their opinions seriously as if they're some kind of fucking expert. I don't like that shit. But I've just learned that there's a way to approach those conversations where anger is not involved. I'm still growing in that aspect, but you know, I'm working on it. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We'll definitely get back to the usual format of What Do You Want to Know videos after this. But yeah, I want to thank my patrons for leaving these great questions. And let's talk about this shit. Drop some shit in the comment section down there. And yeah, as usual, thank you for living, thank you for loving, thank you for being you. And I'll see you guys next time. All right? Peace out, boy.